Hello and welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. We were talking about trades right before this episode started. Thank you guys for joining us. It is Fantasy Football Wednesday. Yesterday we gave you some fantasy football talk with the waiver wire and all of that jazz. We gave you a big baby announcement. Today we will just be talking strictly fantasy football. And we will also be going into the TikTok live after the YouTube episode. I want to start with you guys though. Nimmer, how are you doing?
Doing okay. Just a bunch of adulting. It sucks being a homeowner, especially having like a pretty big backyard. We just had to replace 14 different sprinklers. So, just adulting, which kind of sucks. But yeah, other than that, it's been a pretty good Wednesday.
Darren, what about you?
Yeah, kind of like I mentioned yesterday, Nim, adulting is a bitch and a half when you're spending so much money. But yeah, I got workers coming this weekend. I may have said that yesterday, but today was a really good day. Couldn't complain. Had some good business going forward at work today, so it was pretty happy days.
Nice. Well,
What
man,
about
they
you?
gotta do something about the office that I have because it is way too hot. Something's going on.
Ooh.
I got up today. I looked down. I had a full ass print in sweat on my chair. I was like, this sucks.
Literally the opposite of Arizona, where they're blasting the AC in the summer, and then
Yeah.
over there they're blasting the heater.
It's gonna be pretty cold here tomorrow, so maybe I think something's broken though. I feel like it's been hot since it was hot in the summer, so yeah. But
I always hate that, like when you get that streak of wetness from when you're sitting down, you go and you rub it out. Like that's what I do. I rub it out. I'm like, yo, no one's gonna see my ass sweat.
no,
Like, that.
I leave my my mark there, make everyone know.
Yeah,
Just
that's the
to change
territory
it.
now.
So it's like a dog marking its territory,
It's just a bunch of ass prints everywhere. So next time we see like a butt print on a seat, we're like, all right, Drew's been here.
It's true.
I mean, it's a better alternative than what he did at fucking the draft party.
Let's not even get into that. Should we get into the injury report?
I think we should. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You idiot. We got the Bears running back, DeAndre Swift. He is questionable with a groin injury. Cowboys wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. He is questionable with a back injury. Packers running back, Josh Jacobs is questionable with a quad injury. Dolphins wide receiver, Tyreek Hill is back on the injury report with that wrist injury he's been dealing with. He is questionable. Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold is questionable with a foot injury. Giants tight end Theo Johnson and wide receiver Darius Slayton are both questionable. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts is questionable with an ankle injury. Wide receiver Devontae Smith is questionable with that hamstring injury that he's been dealing with. And Seattle's tight end Noah Fant is questionable with a groin injury. So it seems like it kind of grew from yesterday, but not too many injuries going on. I'm sure there's a lot of players dealing with a lot of different things going on right now at this point of the season. But why don't we get right into our fantasy MVP? So, this topic, this is where we talk about who will be the highest scorer. This is kind of where we guess. We've had Nimmer call Jamar Chase 2 weeks ago. That was the highest scorer. And maybe we can grab another one this week. I think I said Jalen Hurts last week. He was not the highest scorer. I don't remember who you said, Nim.
I think I chose Gibbs. He was not the highest scorer either.
Well, it ended up being, I think, Taysom Hill anyways, so yeah, I don't know how we would have
guessed that.
But, Darian, I'll start with you. Who is your fantasy MVP?
Yeah, this weekend, I've got Jahmyr Gibbs. He's got a favorable matchup. Yeah, I was looking at Nim's team earlier. I was looking at all the matchups and playing Indy, who's given up, I think, the third highest rushing yards this year, and also, I believe, tied for third or second when it comes to, or excuse me, not tied for sixth for how many touchdowns they've given up this year at 10. It's going to be a field day. They're currently ranked 23rd against the run overall in the NFL. We just watched a game where Montgomery had 24 and a half points rushing for 2 touchdowns. I think Gibbs, it's going to be his week. He's going to get the more workload, and he's going to score, I would say, 30-plus points this week for the Detroit Lions.
Nice. Nimmer, who do you have for your fantasy MVP this week?
So, as you know, and I've kind of broadcasted yesterday, I got screwed over 2 weeks in a row. First, it was Jamar Chase. Then it was which was the leading scorer that week. Then it was Taysom Hill, which was the leading scorer. So what I chose to do is go through my opponent's roster and pick who I think is gonna pop off. And so Kaysen, I really think I'm playing Kaysen this week, and I really think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to pop off from his team. Coming off a bye, I think the biggest problem with essentially that connection between Kyler and Marvin Harrison is there's really no chemistry. I don't think they really clicked as well, so I think having that week off definitely helped. I think that's going to help them a lot, as well as they are playing Seattle, which is ranked 22nd against opposing wide receivers. So I can see him having a big game.
I like that one. And I've got Bo Nix. I think he's kind of been on a hot streak. He's played the Raiders before. The last time he played the Raiders, he had 23 points. Really, the week before that, that was where he played the Jets. He scored 6 points. And then it seemed like from that point forward, he said, I understand it now. And he's been going off ever since. So I think he's in store for a really big game. He had 28.78 points against Atlanta, playing against the Raiders for a second time this year. I think the Broncos sweep the Raiders. That'll be the first time they've done that in a while. That feels good for me. And I think Bo Nix has a really big day. I'm going to say 34 points for Bo.
Ooh.
Nice. That would be crazy.
What, like a rushing touchdown upside?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
He's pretty slept on, too. I think his speed is kind of not really looked at by a lot of people.
It's underrated for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen those videos? They understand it now.
Yeah, the lethal shooter.
The lethal shooter.
The gummy bear into the water bottle.
Yeah.
You know, ooh, I understand it now. I understand it now. And just half-court shot.
That's Bo Nix right now. Let's get into trade talks. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been giving you either people that you should be trading for or people you should be trading away. Today, we're going to give you both. We're all going to give you one person we think you should go and get, you should go and trade for, and one person we think you should be trading off of your team. So, Nimmer, why don't you start? Who do you want to trade for and want to move off of?
So I'm sticking with the Cardinals, and I've been begging you guys to come pick this guy up. And that is James Conner. I think I really, really like his playoff schedule. His playoff schedule is New England, who is the 10th worst against opposing running backs. Then he has Carolina, which is in week 15. In week 16, he has Carolina, who is the worst against the rush, against opposing running backs in fantasy. And then for the year championship, he's playing the Rams, who is the 20th worst in for against opposing running backs. And I think that James Conner and Kyler Murray are really going to have to carry the Cardinals in order to be first in their division. I think they're going to be running first. They're really going to try to win with Connor first and then use Kyler's arm to kind of close out games and stuff like that. So I think I really like James Conner as a get. You should try to get. As for my trade away, might be a little too late because I think that a lot of people are going to be low on him, especially after this past game. But this is Aaron Jones. I think that you should try to get rid of Aaron Jones. And what, did I spell his name wrong?
No,
I
that's
feel that in my core.
Darian's got him on his team, so I looked right at him just to see his reaction.
Oh, I see. Okay. You guys scared me. I was like, damn, Aaron Jones. If I misspelled that, I just give up. But yeah, so I'm sorry, Darian, but Aaron Jones, it really looks like he is declining within his fantasy. I don't know if it's due to injury. I don't know if because Cam Akers, the coaches liked him more, but you can definitely tell that he is splitting carries. Plus, his playoff schedule is Chicago, who has a great run defense, Seattle, who middle of the pack run defense, as well as Green Bay, who has a really good rush defense as well. So if I were you, Darian, I'd try to trade him away. I know you've been trying to trade him away, but I know nobody wants him. But I probably would even get a lower caliber running back, and just to get him off your roster.
Darian, who do you think people should be trading for and trading away?
Yeah, trading for another running back to keep the momentum going on running backs here. I think you should be trading for Tony Pollard. He's had a really successful year with Tennessee. Despite their record, he's actually been really the highlight outside of, I would say, Calvin Ridley on that offense. But to finish, and if you're in the playoffs and you're looking for a depth piece or a rotational guy, he's definitely a candidate for that. He's got Indianapolis and Jacksonville in rounds 2 and 3 of fantasy playoffs, which respectively Indy is 23rd against the run and Jacksonville is 31st. Like I mentioned just a moment ago, with Gibbs playing Indy this week, they've given up the third most rushing yards this season and 10 touchdowns. Jacksonville, I think, is 5th when it comes to rushing yards allowed this year, but also have given up substantially more touchdowns. I believe they're at 14 given up this year. So 2 favorable matchups, especially if you were making a deep run in the playoffs. I'm definitely trading for Tony Pollard going forward. And then trading away, and my panic meter was really high on him earlier this season, which prompted me to trade him away. And if I'm a Deebo Samuels owner, I'm trading him away again. He hasn't amounted over 20 points since week 6, so literally 6 weeks ago. And he's really been averaging around 12 to maybe even like 10 points per week. That's nothing I want as a starting caliber wide receiver. If it's like your wide receiver 2 in your lineup, he's not getting the targets. He's averaging around single digit targets, whereas Jennings currently is getting targets of 10, 11 plus in multiple games in a row. Seems that Purdy sees him as the main target outside of Kittle going forward. So if I'm a Deebo Samuels owner, I would have panicked a while ago just because his target share isn't there and he's not getting those big plays. So moving forward, he also is going up against some pretty hard matchups: Green Bay, Buffalo, Chicago, in the next 3. So definitely something that I would be weary about and having him in your starting lineup. So trade away as fast as possible.
Nice. And I have got for you to go and trade for, I've got Mike Evans. I think really a lot of the guys on this Tampa Bay roster are worth trading for right now. I would say both the running backs are worth trading for. Kate Otten, I would go trade for. Mike Evans, I would go trade for. They have a really nice schedule in the playoffs. If you look at their round 1 matchup, that'll probably be the most difficult one. That's versus the Chargers. They're 15th against the pass. I see a good day coming ahead for Mike Evans in that matchup. In round 2 of the playoffs, he'll play Dallas. They're 18th against the pass. And in round 3, they play Carolina. So I see really good matchups, especially in that round 3. If you're in the championship, Mike Evans is in a very favorable matchup there. But I think all these guys that play for Tampa, Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, all these guys are definitely worth trading for. Mike Evans, I think I feel the strongest about, just because Chris Godwin not being there, and he's been Mr. Consistent. So if you want someone consistent that is going to kind of take you through the playoffs, Mike Evans, I think, is your guy. So I would go ahead and trade for him. To trade away, I think this one is a little interesting. I put Kyren Williams. And you look at the past couple games, he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown since week 7. He had a score through the air in week 8, but hasn't actually scored running the ball since week 7. His carries have gone from over 20 carries to the last 2 games only getting 15 carries per game. And you look at the road ahead for him, you have Philadelphia, a good run defense, New Orleans, who I think is a better run defense than what people think, Buffalo, a good run defense, San Francisco, middle of the pack run defense, and the New York Jets. That would be the championship week. He is going up against a top 5 running defense. So I think Kyron's probably going to be fine. I know there's a lot of people out there panicking about him right now, but I do think if you're trying to trade Kyren Williams, there still probably is someone in your league that would be willing to give up a whole lot for him. Maybe they're a wide receiver 1, maybe they're wide receiver 2 and a running back 2, a wide receiver 2 and a running back 1, something like that, just for Kyren Williams, just because of the way he opened up the season. So I think a lot of you guys out there that have Kyren on your team, you might be able to swindle a really good deal your way.
So if anybody wants Kyren, he's on the market. Just letting you know. Just letting the league know.
I'll give you Aaron Jones.
Yeah, okay. That's a good one.
It's funny because Kyren was off limits for Nim just a couple weeks ago.
He was, definitely. But I think that was before I got Gibbs. Now that I got Gibbs, I'm like, okay, I can play around with it. So.
Let's get into our start and sit. We will all give you one player that we think has a good matchup this week, who we think you should start, and one player who we think they should sit, even if they're a big name player that's been producing well, just based off of the matchup. So Darian, who's your start? Who's your sit?
I feel like mine might be a little controversial given the matchup, but you got to start Kupp and you got to start Puka. They're going up against Philly's pass defense, which is currently ranked 6th. Truly, I think either of them are going to get open and make some big plays against this secondary. I wasn't too impressed by them overall to begin the season. They have become progressively better, but I think this is a matchup where there's more than one big name target that they're going against. And I think one of them, or if not both, they're going to find themselves open and they're going to have some big game and big play ability going forward. So I think going forward, I really do like the matchup despite it being a top 10 pass defense. Start them with comfort. And then when it comes to my sit, this one, I was looking at it and I just did not like the matchup. So on the opposite side, I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor as a sit. Let me back up on my notes. I was sending over a trade to Nimmer right then and there for Kyren. Sorry about that.
What's the trade? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No, I mean it was Aaron Jones and DJ Moore for Kyren Williams.
Completely lowball him.
Lowball the hell out of you. But they're going against Detroit, who's 4th against the run. And I think just with the past couple of weeks in which what we've seen in Detroit's offense, being able to put up 50+ points and holding teams to 6 single-digit point games, I think the Colts are going to find themselves down in a rut early, which means they're going to have to pass. You got to get chunk plays down the field. So they're going to abandon the run. And quite frankly, I think JT is just not going to have a good outing outside of that. So I think he'd probably be around 8 to 12 points max. And 12 is a very, very nice, gracious number. I think he'll definitely be in single digits based on how the Lions have been playing.
I agree with that sentiment. Jack, if you're listening, go ahead and sit that running back that you traded for earlier this season. Nimra, who do you have for your start and sit?
So this player has been, I guess, kind of up and down this year, but I think now that he's back, you actually just named him in the injury report. But I think Tyreek, he's due for a huge game. I think I really like his matchup against New England. I think that this is, kind of the Dolphins are, what is it? Full pedal. What's the expression?
Full throttle.
Full throttle. Thank you. Just because they're trying to make that playoff push, and it looks like they're really the only team with a losing record that actually has a chance. And so, I mean, we kind of saw a last game where it doesn't even look like Waddle's really relevant in the offense that much. So I really like him against New England. New England is also 23rd against opposing receivers, so I really like his matchup. For my sit, I have Chuba Hubbard. So Quaz, make sure you sit him. KC, as we know, the reason that they have won 10 games is because of their defense. It's not because of their offense. So I think that they do have the number one defense against running backs, as well as Jonathan Brooks is back. So they might kind of split the carries a little bit. I don't think he's going to come all the way back, but he's definitely going to take some of those carries away from Chuba as well. So, and I know Quaz is begging to trade him away, as well as Pittman Jr. So, he also kind of knows that he's kind of decreasing as well in value.
By begging, he means trading away Pittman and Chuba for your best player. So
yeah,
Bargoons, baby.
Yeah, Quaz, all he is looking for is a solid Bargoon.
Bargoon.
That's so funny.
For my start, I have the Chargers receivers, and these guys are kind of a risky play, I would say, because I don't know which one to tell you to start. I lean Ladd McConkey. I like Ladd more. But I've seen when Johnston goes off, Ladd doesn't really. And if Ladd goes off, Johnson really doesn't do much. So it's kind of a hard one to choose. But I think that against this Ravens team, they are going to attack the run and essentially take away the run from Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I know Dobbins probably really wants to score, but I kind of see the way this game's going to go. They're going to stop the run. They're going to make Justin Herbert pass. This offense has kind of been opening up more in the passing game. And I think what I saw from them against the Bengals, starting to pass more and more. They hung in that game they beat the Bengals, and it was a really close game. The Bengals were in a really close game both times with the Ravens. I think it's going to be a similar game. I might pick this as my upset of the week. I think the Chargers might beat the Ravens this week, but I'm going to say start their receivers, Ladd and Quentin Johnson. And for my sit, I've got DeAndre Swift. So he was the one that led the injury report today, first name on the list. He has a groin injury that he's dealing with. This probably led to his lowest snap share percentage of the season last week, 57%. That was the lowest he's had all season. He's had a injury history, very consistent, probably gets hurt once a year. I am a little nervous about this groin injury. This would probably be another guy I would trade away. I think this groin injury might be a little more serious than we're actually thinking. I've been telling you guys all year, go pick up Roschon Johnson. It looks like if DeAndre Swift were to get hurt or make this injury even worse, then I think Roschon is going to be in for a really, really valuable stretch of weeks, especially coming into the playoffs. I would sit Swift. I'm a little concerned about this groin injury, and he might not even play the game, so you might be forced to sit him anyways. Let's get into one thing: playoff tactics. This is just a word of advice for people that are going into the playoffs looking like they're in a good spot once they're in the playoffs. So I want to hear from you guys. Darian, I'll start with you. What is your one piece of advice for someone looking for the playoffs right now?
Looking for it, try to find and source trades of candidates or players that have favorable matchups in the playoffs. Go for players that have produced consistent numbers, not ones that kind of fluctuate. You want guys who are coming in, always making sure they're getting their targets, they're executing on their target share, and have consistent point bases. You don't want a flop of a player coming in and being on your team. But when it comes to it, have trust in your starting lineup. Have trust in the guys that you've built around in that core, and just keep pushing into the playoffs. Keep that strong momentum going, and just add those small pieces that'll keep you over the edge.
Nimmer, what do you got for someone in a playoff position?
Yeah, and I think this is like the perfect time to kind of look ahead, because we kind of been talking about it indiscreetly throughout the show, where we're looking at the week 15, 16, 17, and that's usually the playoff. That is the fantasy playoffs. So especially with most of the trade deadlines approaching, this is like the perfect time to kind of maneuver your roster to fit those specific matchups that you're looking for. So if you are in the playoffs, enjoy it, but try to, and also I would try to look at matchups rather than projections. Sometimes, especially with ESPN, their projections are almost always wrong. So even though you have like Sutton, who is playing somebody that their opponent's 28th against the wide receiver, but then you want to start Kyron, who's going against KC or something like that. Like, you might want to start Sutton, even though the projection is a little lower. So that's also kind of a trick that I kind of like to use, depending on who it is and stuff like that. Why are you giggling over there? What is happening?
My father-in-law, he's this is his first time playing fantasy, and I was telling him and teaching him how to like coordinate trades, and he sent in the most god awful trade to his wife, which is collusion. He sent, you're gonna get a kick out. This is why I'm laughing so hard and giggling, is that he's sending Brock Purdy and DeAndre Hopkins, and he's receiving Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. And all he did was send me a text saying LOL. Like, I have to veto this. Like, I can't, as like the league manager. I'm sorry to like interrupt the show, but I'm just
that's hilarious. Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. Oh my god, that is so funny.
Yeah. So sorry for my
No, you're good.
Oh no, I thought you were laughing at me, so I was like, what?
No, that's funny.
No.
That is hilarious.
My piece of advice for anyone in a playoff position, kind of the opposite of what Nimmer said. At this point in the season, you know what players on your team are producing. Don't get too cute. Don't think, oh, it's round one of the playoffs and this player has a higher projection or a better matchup than this guy that's been producing all season. I'm going to throw that guy in. I'm going to put this guy on the bench. You want to stay consistent. These guys have been producing all season. Your time to believe in them is now in the playoffs. Do not get too cute with your lineups. Stay consistent. You don't want to be the guy that made that hasty move where you took one of your bench players that you thought was going to have a big game in the playoffs, put him as your starter, and then you lose by 5 points. And that starter that you had on the bench scored 20 points. You don't want that. That's going to hurt you until next year. So don't do that.
Yeah, it's still hurting. That's what kind of happened. Actually, it wasn't. It was kind of what happened to Darian, where somebody was hurt, and then I was playing you first round, and then I ended up losing, and then I would have won every single week after that. So yeah, it definitely still hurts.
And I guess there's also another thing you could do heading into the playoffs. If your deadline hasn't happened yet, maybe make one more swing at a trade. One big trade, one big move. I know it's kind of a scummy move, probably seen by a lot of your league mates, but hey, if it happens, if you land a big player, say a David Montgomery or something like that, hey man, I think that would be a good thing for you, and you could win the championship.
I have to ask, because I saw a TikTok today that actually deemed my interest. Do you think vetoes should happen in a league?
I don't like it when it's just the league manager doing it. I like the way that we do it with the committee.
Okay.
Yeah, a committee, not like the entirety of the league having a vote, because most people, they're just going to decline because it's not with them. Or when you have too many different opinions, everything gets so convoluted. So how we have it, where we have a rotation of folks in a committee where it's 3 set opinions. If 2 agree, then it's good. If 2 disagree, then it doesn't go through. So I think, yes, to answer your question, keep vetoes, but limit it to a certain amount and not just the league manager where it's dictatorship and not leaving it to everybody because there's too many opinions.
Yeah, and I think that his point was having the league manager only veto like the collusions. You know, like for example, what your was it brother-in-law, father-in-law?
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law, like that, obviously the league manager should definitely veto. But if it was like a trade that you guys did where you guys think it was fair, both parties kind of agreed, and it was like very, very close, then essentially the league manager or the commissioner wouldn't veto it. It's more just to kind of track the collusion aspect. But I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about this because with the committee or even just the league, like if I'm really high on somebody and I really see the upside and I really see somebody, like I don't know. I'm trying to think of it, but in general, and then all of a sudden I'm trading Darian and he wants like DJ Moore, for example. If I see his upside and I'm like, yeah, I really want DJ Moore, and then I'm like, you're like, I'll trade you Kyron Williams, and I'm low on Kyron Williams. Then for me, I like that trade because I'm getting DJ Moore, and I see the upside in that, and then you see the upside in Kyron. So like both parties kind of agree, but then at the same time, like Drew doesn't like that trade, and if you're on the committee, it won't go through. So it kind of takes the fun out of that type of thing. So that's the negative side, but then at the on the other side, you also can see like kind of like what you said. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. There's too many. It's easier if there's only 3 committees. 2 people agree, 1 person doesn't, that sort of thing. So I don't know. The whole trade thing, it's keeping me up at night, I should say, because I want like the perfect solution, but I don't know if there is.
I think the committee is the best way to do it. I wonder if because we've talked about in our league maybe keeping the committee the same. I think you have to change it every year. It has to be a new set of people every year.
Yeah.
So that way it's like always, like what's the word? Like fair, I guess, and civil. Like there's never, you know, I would say that the reason this past trade didn't get put through from Quaz's eyes was because Quaz didn't want to see me win the championship.
That's not the case.
1,000%. I
But
feel like
still,
it's
even if there's two other people I didn't like the trade, and I would love for you to win the championship. So I just thought that Montgomery had a lot to prove, and then me personally didn't see the value that Darian was getting, and I didn't think that equaled Montgomery. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you obviously see the value in Montgomery. Darian liked the players that he was getting. So you guys both liked the trade, but me personally, I didn't think that was a equal valuable trade. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic.
I
I mean,
like
this is
having
what pisses. Oh, my bad. Sorry, Drew.
I like having 3 people do it. It's like it feels like American Idol because like I come into the little group chat with the committee and I'm singing my heart out. I'm like, David Montgomery for this, and then like there's one person that says no, and then there's one person that says yes, and I'm like, oh, it's all on Simon Cowell, and that's Quaz, and Quaz is like, absolutely not, you're terrible, get out of here. So
No, the worst is when you send a trade and nobody says anything. And you're just like sitting there looking at your phone and you're like, are they going to veto it? Are they going to, this silence is just
the
killer.
anticipation.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Darian?
Oh, I was going to say what you're talking about is what pisses Austin off because he's the whole mindset of this is my team. I can do with it what I will and what I want, and who's to tell me no. But like we have to, bring it in, make sure the chaos is under control because he could sell George Kittle, who's tight end number 1, for fucking, I don't know, Vele and Schultz. And oh yeah, he's like, I'm getting a secondary player. Like that's who I wanted. And throw a fit when we tell him no, it's uneven. You're losing so much value.
But in Austin's defense, that he's, you also have to kind of think of nobody really is like that in our league because we all want to win and we all don't want to lose because of the punishment, that sort of thing. And then that's kind of where like the league manager would be like, all right, this is obviously a one-sided trade that it has to, I'm going to have to veto it. But and I think that's kind of where we started with the committee, but I think we kind of me personally, because I did this with you guys, honestly, where I don't see, like, it was really close to value, but it wasn't like equal. And I think that's where we need to kind of draw the line where if it's semi close to value, then we should just push it through. But if it's not, then like if it's one-sided like that, like that's where we came up with the committee because of things like that. So I don't know.
I mean, that's what the good thing about the veto is, because there's in a lot of leagues there's always the last place guy that could win someone the league if they trade away one of their best players, and then there's a stop to it by the veto. That's like the positive side of it, which outweighs the kind of frustration and all the confusion with the committee, or like, kind of the advanced ways of going about passing trades or not.
Yeah, and one thing that we actually implemented this year, which I liked, which I think I'm the only one that actually did, was the whole challenge aspect. So like you guys definitely could have put it in the group and challenged it and then kind of seen where it goes from there. But just for like, the viewers and stuff like that, like it's not just the committee, because before the committee was just like, all right, it's vetoed, that's it. But then now we implemented a rule where you can challenge it for the whole league to kind of decide if it should go through or not. So
yeah, I mean, I was good with it. I told everybody in the committee, I was like, if you guys say no, like I'm fine with that. Yeah, and it was a veto, so I was like, all right, let's move on.
True. No, I don't know. I saw that TikTok and I was like, that's interesting. Like, so where the commissioner only really decides if it's collusion or not. Like, it doesn't have to be, but just wanted to hear your thoughts, your guys' thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into ATS against the spread for week 12 or week 10, whatever the graphic said.
Oh shoot, sorry.
No, this
It says
is-
week 10.
Oh, the graphic going in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad.
This week 12 though. We have 95 to 71. Nimmer is, what would that be? 6
Seven.
games?
7.
7 games. 7 games back, and Darian is 10 games back.
Yeah, just forget about me.
You're only
It's
3
so
games
crazy.
behind me, so
Yeah.
It's so crazy because I started out dead last.
I know. Just been
I'm just
slipping.
mediocrity.
But let's do the Steelers and Browns. This is in Cleveland. Steelers are favored by 3.5 points. Nimmer, what do you think?
I mean, I'm obviously going to pick the Steelers, but this game, number one, feels like a trap game. And let me read some stats to you guys. The Steelers have never won a Thursday night road divisional game.
Wow.
All
Wow.
time, we're 0-7, and in Mike Tomlin's regime, we're 0-5. So, very, very nervous about this game. This is going to be and I don't know, short week, plus that Ravens game was so physical that having a short week after that is going to be tough. So, I'm hoping that the Browns are just that bad, and we're, going to be able to have like a mini bye week after that coming off a win, but very, very nervous about this game.
Darren, what do you think?
I don't believe any of that. The Steelers are too damn good. They're covering.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers here too. I've said that this team is the biggest threat to the Chiefs. If you're going to be the biggest threat to the Chiefs, you got to win games like this. The Saints just beat the Browns with Taysom Hill and MVS. So I think the Steelers should win this game here.
I'm hoping we're all right.
But those stats are interesting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I
that
saw
is-
that and I was like, "Oh my god!"
That is kinda
Vikings,
scary.
that is kind of scary. I mean, I don't give a fuck about the Steelers. So Vikings at the Bears. The Vikings are favored by 3.5 points in Chicago. Darren, who do you got covering here?
Give me the Vikings, baby. Easy as that.
So for my pick, I have another interesting stat.
Oh, my
Home
goodness.
division dogs are 7-2 against the spread. So give me the Bears,
Oh.
especially with the Vikings, kind of decreasing in it. I like the Bears pick.
Yeah, these are two really good defenses. I'm going to take the Vikings. I think they can win by a touchdown just because how bad the offense has looked for the Bears. Even in their win, or even in that close game last week against the Packers, the offense still was not very good.
Mm-mm.
Lions at the Colts. Detroit is favored by 7.5 points after that 13.5 spread that they had last week. 7.5 for the Colts, so this must be a much better team than the Jaguars. Number, who do you have covering?
I mean, I don't think it's that big of a gap, but the Lions are just too good. The train just keeps rolling and rolling all the way to the Super Bowl.
Nimmer, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The Lions' offense is just too potent, and I was saying it earlier. The Colts' defense is going to get ran on and ran through.
I think I could be wrong, but I think I saw Kenny Moore today. Someone from the Colts, I want to say it was Kenny Moore, but someone from the Colts said it's going to be a closer game than y'all think. And that reminds me of when Xavier McKinney said they just try to embarrass people, and then the Packers got embarrassed. So I'm going to take the Lions here.
Dang.
Patriots at the Dolphins in Miami. The Patriots are favored by 7.5 points. A little context here. The Dolphins have 50% or 52% of the vote. The Patriots have 48% of the vote. So it's a very close pick between the public. Remember, who do you have covering?
I really like the Pats. I like the Pats covering. I don't think they're gonna win, but the way that the Dolphins looked against the Raiders, I don't remember it. It wasn't close. I mean, it was close, right? What was the final
it was.
score? Do you guys remember?
It wasn't like a very.
It wasn't a blowout
big,
like I assumed it was gonna be.
It wasn't. It was close for most of the game.
So I mean, that's the Raiders. So I think that the Patriots are definitely better. Yeah. Oh, 34-19. So it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. But
I think for a while though, it was a pretty close game, like up until the fourth quarter.
mm-hmm. And I think that the Patriots defense is a lot better than the Raiders and their offense. So I like the Pats covering.
Darren, who do you have covering here?
This one was kind of a flip-flop for me when I was deciding, but I think this is where the Dolphins meld together and they have a crazy offensive attack. I think Achane has a great game. I think Johnny Smith will have a good game. And I think maybe Tyreek, I know you mentioned he's due for a game, but I think Christian Gonzalez is going to be strapping him up. So, but with that being said, I think the Dolphins are just going to be a heavy hand and they cover. I think they win by 10.
Yeah, just watching the Dolphins over these past couple weeks, their defensive line is better than what people think. Their defense as a whole is better than what people think. But I like the way that Drake May's playing. I think Drake May will keep it closer than a touchdown. So I'm going to say the Patriots cover here. And the Buccaneers at the New York Giants. The Bucs are favored by 5.5 points. This will be Tommy DeVito's first start up against not a bad defense. So, Darren, who do you have covering?
I mean, with Mike Evans coming back, he's going to have a hot hand in this. Baker's going to pop off. I got the Bucs, who are a clearly better team, and they cover this.
Remember who you have covering?
Yeah, I got to go with a better team, and it does kind of scare me because backups usually when they come back from starting, it's like a new revamped offense somehow, some way. I don't think so. It kind of scares me a little bit, but with Mike Evans coming back, I think Baker. That was going to be my other MVP. Was going to be Mike Evans, but he's not on Kasen's team, so.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucs. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for the running backs for the Giants. So this will probably be a lot on Tommy DeVito. So I just don't believe in that guy. I think I might be picking against all New York teams for the rest of the season. So
not a bad offense. Not a bad choice.
Just keep it in New Jersey. Keep that dumpster fire going.
The Cowboys at the Commanders. Looks like the wise guys are now coming to the realization that the Cowboys are dog shit. The Commanders are favored by 10.5 points. Darian, who do you have covering here?
I don't stray. You know where I'm at. I mean, 10.5 points is a lot of points, but the Cowboys got dogged by the Eagles, and we kept close to the Eagles by 8 points. I think just with our running backs, Eckler and B-Rob, we'll have a field day out there, so they're covering this.
Remember, who do you have covering?
Yeah, Cowboys are a dumpster fire, and Commanders do well against shitty teams. So, give me the Commanders.
We are all on the Commanders. I saw Micah Parsons talking about teams on his podcast today with Trayvon Diggs. Did you guys see that?
No.
He's like, we're actually not a bad team. I was like,
Yeah,
"What
he
the
was.
fuck are you
He
talking
was. He was like, people forget when we were 12-5 for the past 3 years. I'm like, yeah, but what's going on this year, Micah? And like, what happened every year in the playoffs, Micah?
This is the same person that thinks that their division is better than the AFC North. So, you could only take what he says with a grain of salt. He's a great football player, but I mean, come on, man.
And I saw that CeeDee Lamb was out this week shooting a music video with Trayvon Diggs. So he's dealing with a back injury and also shooting music videos. So right after the loss that they just had.
He's in off-season form.
So looks like the Cowboys are sending it in for the rest of the season.
This is up there with the Giants on the yacht with all like the Timberlands and jeans on. Like that shit, this is comparable.
The Chiefs at the Panthers. Man, this would be the upset of the season. I don't think it's going to happen, though. The Chiefs are favored by an 11.5-point spread. Nimmer, who do you have covering here?
I want the upset, so give me the Panthers. I honestly don't think that they're going to win, but 11.5 is a lot, especially the way that the Chiefs have been playing. I don't think they've blown out one team this whole season, have they? I can't think of. I can't.
I feel like it's always been a one-score game.
Yeah, I saw this one stat where it feels like if all the close games went the other way, the Chiefs would be 7-2 right now. So, or 2-7. I'm sorry, 2-7.
2-7.
So I don't know. And then that whole Taylor Swift, her canceling her tour in Charlotte, I don't think that really matters, but for this pick it does. So give me the Panthers.
What do you got, Darian?
Man, 11.5 is a ton. I got to go with the Chiefs, though. They're just clearly the better team. And I'm looking now to see what the highest win was. That was 13 points against the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So 26-13.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going the Chiefs too. I'll really be paying attention to this game. I know that the Chiefs, I won't be watching it most likely, but I'll be paying attention to the score. Mm-hmm. I know that the Chiefs struggle against the spread. So if they don't get the spread here against the Panthers, I think that says a lot for the rest of the season on who you should be picking in these Chiefs games for the spread. The Titans at the Texans. The Texans are favored by more than a touchdown, 8.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covered?
I like the Texans. I think the Texans are a better team. Titans, I think the defense is definitely going to carry that team.
Darren, who do you have covered?
Yeah, I think the Texans keep the momentum going. Titans aren't very good. I think they cover this pretty easy. They'll definitely win by 10 or more.
Yeah, I got the Texans too. Their defense is playing well. Will Levis sucks. So I'm going to go Texans. Broncos at the Raiders. Broncos are favored by 5.5 points in Vegas. I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to cover this 5.5 points.
Easy.
They're going to win by at least 14.
Yeah.
They're going to win by 30.
I originally had it being because that dog stat that I said, the home divisional dog. But, I mean, the Raiders are also in shambles. So, and the Broncos are steamrolling a lot of teams. They look really good. So,
Niners at the Packers. Interesting game. The Packers are 5-5. I'm sorry. Niners are 5-5. Packers are 7-3. Means a lot for the Niners. Green Bay is favored by 2.5 points. Nimmer, who do you have covered?
I don't know why I do this to myself, but the Niners have to turn it around sometime. And I think if they get a win from the Packers, I think that's the time I think this is the game that's really going to define the season. So I like the Packers in this.
Darren, who do you have?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the Packers offense as of late. They're not inspiring me, and they're not getting things done with Reed, Watson, Dobbs, who we all thought were going to be great passing attacks. And it's just weird to me. And I think the 49ers are going to be able to strap them up, and they're going to get the dub in this.
Yeah, so I think something to look out for is if Purdy's going to play or not. I don't think he's practiced this week. So that's a little concerning. I'm going to take the Niners because this means a whole lot for them. Them falling to 5-6 is real bad news. So I think they're really going to want this win. Packers, I have Jordan Love on my team. I named my team name after him. He, I think, has taken a big step back this year. I'm interested to see what it looks like moving forward for him next year and the year after, because I'm starting to worry were we all singing his praises a little too early. You look at the amount of interceptions and fumbles that he has this year, he's kind of been a turnover machine. So we will see. Cardinals at Seahawks. Seattle is favored by 1.5 points. Interesting line. I'm assuming that's just because of the home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Who did I go to first last time? I don't remember. Darian, who do you got?
The Cardinals got me feeling nicey, like
Got
John
me feeling
Gruden would
nicey.
say. They got me feeling nicey. And just for that alone, Cardinals are covering us.
Who you got, Nim?
Yeah, coming off a bye, I think that the Cardinals are well rested. So the one thing I'm kind of scared about is they had all the momentum, and so maybe this bye hopefully doesn't stop that. But I like the Cardinals.
I like the Cardinals too. I think I feel like this is going to be a game where the Cardinals get up big early, and then you see nice fantasy performances out of the receivers from the Seahawks because they're just trying to get back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles at the Rams. The Eagles are favored by 2.5 points in LA. Nimmer, who do you have covering?
I like the Eagles. I don't know why I put the Rams. Yeah, give me the Eagles. I think that the Rams, especially the way that they're not running the ball, the Eagles they're just too powerful, especially against like the Rams defense isn't really that good. So give me the Eagles.
What do you have, Darian?
Total opposite. I think the Rams are going to come out. They're going to expose the Eagles passing the secondary, and they're going to get shit done. I think they could even eke out the win. So I'm going to stick to my guns.
We have the Ravens at – oh, I didn't go yet, huh?
No.
I'm going Eagles. The O-line for the Rams has been a mess all season. I'm interested to see the matchup between Quinyon Mitchell and whoever he lines up against, whether that's Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. Not a lot of Eagles fans are out there really screaming his name out. He's having a really good rookie season. The Ravens at the Chargers. The Ravens are favored by 2.5 points in LA. Wait a minute. They're both playing in LA? Oh, this is the Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was like, how are they doing that? But Darian, who do you got covering here?
I mean, just thinking about last year, just the Ravens defense just came full force at the Chargers. I think it's not going to be the same turnout, but it'll be kind of a dogfight. But I like the Ravens just slightly better than the Chargers, and I think they cover.
Number, who do you have covering here?
Yeah, I mean, after a very embarrassing offensive performance from the Ravens, I think that they're going to come out swinging, and I think that they definitely cover and obviously win.
And I was just telling you guys, I think this will be the upset of the week for me. I'm going with the Chargers here. I think that'll be the most surprising outcome right on Monday Night Football. I'm going to say the Chargers come out on top, win by a touchdown.
Dang.
A touchdown is crazy, but
yeah.
Hey, Harbaugh's kind of a defensive mastermind kind of guy. Maybe he shuts down Lamar a little bit.
I forgot this is the battle of the brothers again.
Yeah.
I did forget about that. No wonder it was Monday night.
And I think Jim has a better record against John in the pros. I could be wrong, but I want to say Jim has a better record.
I could see that.
Except for the Super
The
Bowl.
Niners were nice.
Yeah, they were nice. I don't think they matched up a whole lot when they were coaching both in the league.
Yeah.
This means a lot for a lot of people. Dobbins and Gus Edwards on the Chargers. You know they're going to want to score.
That's true.
They're going to Dobbins is quick and fast.
Dobbins has been saying all season the Ravens should have brought me back. That was their biggest mistake. So,
settling for Derrick Henry isn't bad either.
I know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, Derrick Henry's been doing pretty good. So
nice little pickup.
Let's go to Nimmer's locks of the week.
All right. So we had Drew's blessing on the anytime touchdown, but Kyron Williams really screwed us over on that one. So we're back. We're back again. We're back again though. So we still have the two. I really like the unders, the under and overs. We've been pretty successful in that one, and then the anytime touchdown. So let's start with the under and overs. So the Pittsburgh Browns game, I don't see this being a high scoring game. I don't see them either getting 20. I think both defenses are, or at least Pittsburgh's defense is definitely going to hold them. It's rainy. The weather sucks. It's a divisional game. It's an AFC North divisional game. I don't think that it's going to be a high scoring. Plus, the Steelers, out of the last 12 matchups, 10 of them have been unders when facing a bottom 10 scoring defense. So I definitely don't see them. The Browns maybe getting one touchdown. Don't see them getting two. So then we have the Vikings and Bears under. As Drew said, there's two really good defenses. The Vikings have a good defense. The Bears have a good defense. Both offenses are struggling, as well as the Vikings are 10-13. The under has hit the Vikings. The Vikings have hit an under in 10 of the last 13 matchups as a favorite. So I like this under as well. And last but not least, the Colts. I know that the Lions are a juggernaut, and as always, okay, sorry. Let's do the anytime touchdown. Anytime touchdown. I like these three. Amon-Ra has got a touchdown in the past like 5 or 6 games, so give me that. Achane is going against the the Patriots, and they're 21st against running backs. And kind of mentioned Harrison Jr. I think him and Kyler that connection really met during the bye week, so give me that. If you don't like Marvin Harrison, I also like Kenneth Walker, who the Cardinals are 25th against opposing running backs. So I can definitely see all three of them. And if you want to add Kenneth Walker as well, I don't blame you. So that's those are the plays. Let's make some money right before the holidays.
Let's get that money.
Remember, always gamble responsibly.
Yeah, always.
Or gamble your life away.
Yeah. Gamble responsibly and unless you're hitting. Unless you hit that parlay.
Yep. Because just keep on hitting.
Seems like two very solid bets.
We got both the bets. We got Drew's blessing on both bets. Let's go.
Mhm.
I was a little iffy on the Colts one, but then you gave me that stat of the 8 out of 11, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could see it.
50 is a lot of points, but I can definitely see them the Lions hitting 30. So,
Yeah,
I can see
Lions
that.
will get most of that 50 for you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, definitely. So
But we are headed over to TikTok Live. Anything you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Don't think so, but calling the shot, Peyton Wilson. He's getting that touchdown tomorrow.
Anytime touchdown for Peyton Wilson.
Peyton Wilson. All right, I'm about to write
Man.
that down.
That'll win you a
Defensive
lot of money
touchdown.
if that hits.
That would be a fucking crazy hit.
I wonder what the odds on that are.
I don't even know if you can. Can you bet on a defensive player like that?
Oh no.
Sometime- Sometimes you can,
Oh.
depending on the app. Like I think you can do it on DraftKings. I think I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I don't know. I use FanDuel. Peyton, yeah, and I also like for the anytime touchdown. I've completely forgot about J.K. Dobbins. Harbaugh definitely is going to give him the ball, so that would be also another one to put in your anytime touchdown. But no, my quote. Oh, that's not. Never mind. Literally, the quote I had was just, "You got this." So, you got this.
Nice.
Yeah.
My quote is, "I've got a biting sensation or fixation."
Gotta do it in Mike Tyson voice.
that was the best part of the whole night.
That was.
But we will see you guys on TikTok Live. If you'd like to join us, we'll be answering fantasy football questions. We will see you guys next week.